So my latitude is going to be L, or the latitude is equal to this length times, and the times button is, if you hit Shift 8, it's that little asterisk symbol or that star symbol. And then I'm going to type in cosine, open parentheses, and then I'm going to say radians, because I got to convert it to radians, parentheses, and it's going to be, now here's when you're writing, because of the way that it's sitting, I'm going to pick this cell, but it needs to actually be this cell here. Okay, so let me give myself a little bit more room. So equal sign this length times Shift 8 cosine, open parentheses, radians, open parentheses, pick that value. I couldn't pick that value before because the field, the cell itself, was too close. Now I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to hit the 0 button, which is my close parentheses, and then I'm just going to hit Enter. Now notice what it does, gives me the same value, so you can see as I'm going along. We'll do the latitudes first. So you can see how many extra decimal places I have. Now, you can reduce the amount of decimal places by shifting this button right here to decrease the decimal. The nice thing about the decreased in decimal is it shows you the rounded value, but it does not actually round the value for you. Now here's the nice thing. I've got that equation written, right? All I have to do is go Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, and then I've got all of those done. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the departure. The departure is going to be equal to this length times sine, open parentheses, and remember we've got to change it to radians, open parentheses, that cell, close parentheses, and Enter. And you can see that now we've got this information done. Now we're just going to go Control C for copy, Control V, Control V, Control V. Now the next part of it is I want these values to be added up, because when we're doing the traverse calculations, our next part is to see if this is actually closing. Our departures, when we add them up, should be equal to 0 if it's a properly closed traverse, but if not, then we'll need to force it to be closed. We'll do a correction. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and sum, so it's equal, and then sum, and then parentheses. And you can highlight all these cells. All I did was pick the first cell and then just holding the left click button down and select all of them and then close them. Or you can, I'm going to have to sum up this link column also. You can go equals sum, and then you can go pick plus, or I'm sorry, you can go equals this plus this plus this plus this, if there was some type of information in between where it wouldn't allow you to sum them this way. Now once you've got the equation written, you can still do the Control C, Control V. You added them up. All right. Now, like I said, this is a rounding error over here when I did it by hand. So the computer, if I keep adding more cells, the computer's actually doing the calculations for us. So I don't have to worry about rounding, okay? So all of the values are being held with what they need to be. Now, I'm going to shift this up a little bit so I can see the next part of it. Before I go on to the correction, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go ahead and do the linear misclosure. That means we know that there's an error here. So I'm just going to say linear misclosure is equal to, now this is what I like to do. I don't like to run over. So what I do is I click on the cell and then I hit it to go right justified. and then I put in the formula. Now, I can, like I said, I've already got these formulas written up. I'm not going to take the time here to have you all watch me write formulas down. So I'm just going to paste this in. So we'll have the formulas over here. I'll just put that below it. Now, that's just all aesthetics. That has nothing to do with the actual calculations. I just like to have my formulas visible. So now to do this formula, I'm actually going to type in equal sign SQRT. That means square root. Now, I'm going to do an open parentheses, and the departure misclosures, I'm going to put a parentheses again and a parentheses to close it. And I'm going to put a uppercase shift in that little caret for the 6 and 2. That means I just squared that information, okay? And then I'm going to add, and I'm going to do parentheses, this value. Now, technically, I don't need a parentheses. I'll show you. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. And then square it, and then closed. Now, when I close it, this last bracket up here should close with this bracket right here. And when I hit enter, it gives me the value. Now, I can write that same formula, SQRT, parentheses, and I could say this value squared plus this value squared, close parentheses, and hit enter. And it works just fine because it's recognizing that's a negative. Whereas in your calculator, you have to put the parentheses because that's negative. Okay. In Excel, you don't, because when it's referencing a negative number, it knows, this computer knows that it's negative. Okay. So there is our misclosure. All right. Now, it appears that I had a typo in this one here. You can see it was 197. I must have typed this in from somewhere else. So this is correct right here. Now we're going to do relative precision. I'll put that right here. And that is equal. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just move this over one to there so it looks nice, and I'll grab my formula from over here, control copy. And that's the nice thing about having multiple formulas. You can copy from other cells and paste it. It's still control C, control V. All right, so now we're going to do the relative precision. You can also use the align, and you can align to the top. So each one of these are absolutely perfect. This is really getting down to the making everything nice. And that's feet. Again, I like to have all of my units written somewhere. So the relative precision is going to be the linear misclosure. That's this value that we just calculated divided by the traverse length. So I'm going to go equal sign, this value here, divided by the sum of the length. Now, that's going to give us a 0.00065 zeros and then the 6. What I want to do, since I screwed up, I should have put 1 divided by parentheses, parentheses, okay? And what that's telling us, it's actually 1 over that value, okay? So it's going to be I can't write it like you normally do in survey. So what you could do is go colon 1 over 145,848, or we'll just round it up to 15 and then zeros. Okay. Not enough zeros. All right. So that would be the ratio. Okay. Now, the next thing that we have to do is get these to be forced to be equal to the 0 value. All right, so I'm going to pull this back down, and I'm going to go ahead and use all of my space. well, I'm going to go ahead and expand it because I don't need any more information from that sheet. So the next thing is my correction factors. So I'm going to say equal sign minus, because it's a minus, parentheses, the latitude misclosure, this value here, and I just picked the cell, times the length. That's going to be the length of the segment AB. That length, close parentheses, all divided by the traverse length, which is all these added up. So it's going to pick that one. All right. Now, you can also change this value instead of having it e to whatever. That means an exponent to a -5. You can come up here and just write number, but you have to make a lot of, you have to change the precision. You could also do that by changing the format, going number, and then picking the number of decimal places. So I'm showing 7 decimal places. Now, I can copy. So I highlight that cell, I just pick it, go Control C, Control V, and again, all I have to do is change what is being highlighted. So it was the latitude misclosure times the length divided by the sum, okay? Or if you feel more comfortable, instead of doing it like that, equal minus sign, parentheses, latitude misclosure times the length divided by the sum. Okay. Now, the nice thing about copying, though, is I don't have to change to the precision and I don't have to do this. So it's really up to you. Control C, Control V. I prefer it this way just because I'm used to using it this way. You could also, in our next part, is going to be the departure misclosure. You can go ahead and go equal sign minus, and that's just the minus sign next to the 0 at the top of your keyboard. The departure misclosure times the length divided by the sum of the traverse. Okay, and you can do it again, equal sign minus sign, parentheses, departure misclosure times the length, close parentheses, divided by the sum. Control copy, Control paste. Same way, you can just slide the cells up. Oops. When you want to activate it, you have to go back to the formula at the top. So equal sign, or like I said, Control C, Control V, and then just move the cells, because the formula is correct. It's just the cells that they're orienting to are not. All right. Now I'm going to copy this one, Control C, Control V, Control V. Then I've got the sum of them. Now take a look at this. These values are supposed to be opposite in sign, as it's like if it's correction latitude, its value should be the opposite sign of the latitude that was calculated. Notice there's an error. So notice how small these are except for this one. So I screwed that equation up somehow. I clicked on the linear misclosure. It should have been the latitude misclosure there. Now make sure you have the same amount of decimal places, and you can see how each one of these are the exact same but opposite in sign. So now all I have to do is do the adjusted latitude. So that's going to be equal sign the original latitude plus, and I'm going to say plus, even though there's a minus sign here, it automatically takes care of the signage. Okay, I am going to take that, and I'm just going to, since it's already a number, I'm going to make it have less decimal places. I'm just going to go to 3 decimal places here. Actually, I'm going to go 4. You can also highlight all the cells and you can right click, format cells, number, and we'll just say 5 decimal places on that. Highlight the cells. I can do it all of these cells if I wanted. Highlight all of them, right click, go decimal or format cells, number, and do 5 if I wanted, just for accuracy's sake. Okay, when we go to present our number at the end, usually you only hold a couple decimal cells, especially if it's length. If it's decimal degrees, then you'll have more decimal places. So up that one. So I'm just going to copy that, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. And the reason I can do just copy and paste is because it's always going to reference the same cells, the pattern. Okay, I don't have to shift these because when they're all in the same row and you copy, it just changes the location of the cells. Okay, now I'm going to Control C, Control V here. And all it did was copied the formula, but shifted it by 1 row, okay? Or I mean 1 column. Now, on this one, I'm going to go equal sign, and it's going to be the departure plus the corrected departure. And then I'm just going to go Control C, and then I'm going to paste all of these out. Control V. And then I'm going to copy, Control C, Control V. Okay, so now they're completely equal to 0. So I've adjusted everything. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I know that the northing component is equal to the Y value. And I know that the easting component or coordinate for station A is the X value. So the next thing that you're going to do, now that's the only thing that's on this row, the whole point of this was to get the XY coordinates, the northing and the eastings. You go equal sign, the previous coordinate plus the latitude, and that gives you the northing or the Y value, equal sign, the easting plus the departure between A and B, and that's going to give you the easting value. Now you're going to repeat this. You're going to go Control C, Control V. Now look at the formula. It's still maintaining that pattern. And I can keep doing that. Control C, Control V, Control V. And notice that it gives me the same value. It's following the same pattern. So it's using those cells that I referenced. Same with this one. The previous easting plus the adjusted departure. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. And there's our values. All right. So this closes, and now the next thing we have to do is, this is the direct method. Now we're going to have to do the indirect method or the inverse method to calculate the new latitude or new bearing and new length for our traverse that has the corrected north or calculated northing and eastings.